Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers, if you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money, so we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Give me sight beyond sight.
Greetings, Starfighter. You are about to listen to the totally super awesome 80's Reboot Overdrive podcast. Always remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Ready Player One.
In Ecclesiastes assures us that there is a time to every purpose under heaven, a time to laugh and a time to weep, a time to mourn, and there is a time to dance. And there was a time for this law, but not anymore. See, this is our time to dance. It is our way of celebrating life. That's the way it was in the beginning. It's the way it's always been. That's the way it should be now.
This is Dave, and on the podcast today we've got Nick.
Hello.
Matt.
Hi.
And Tim.
Hello, everybody.
Now today we are tackling the very important topics, dogs and cats living in mass hysteria. We've got a flying dog named Falcor. We've got missed 16th birthday, but most importantly, it's our time to dance. So, of course, we're talking the movies of 1984. Now, before we really get started with even the movies themselves of 1984, I want to backtrack 1 week where we did the 1983 podcast, and I want to tell my co-host, fellas, after the podcast, I threw out a little tweet about Valley Girl, and it turns out I'm not alone. So you guys can take that, stuff it in your Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and put it where the sun don't shine. Yes, I went there.
All right. Well, you and your Valley Girl Twitter friends can just have all the fun you want. You'll be sitting here watching real movies of the 80s, like Red Dawn.
Now that I covered that, I wanted to do that little punch out to those guys. What I wanted to explain is last week we were doing the IMDb, and I had it sorted, or I just did IMDb movies of 1983, and then I just let it self-sort, and it turned out it was on something called Movie Meter. And what I found out, Movie Meter is the most looked up movies for that that specific year. I was going to leave it that way for our talk today until I discovered that number 11, being Supergirl, was trumping Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So I'm going to be sorting it so we don't have that kind of problem.
Well, you know the list is whack because Spinal Tap needs to be 11, right?
Serious.
So what I did was I resorted it based on the top U.S. grossing feature films from top to bottom. So by sorting it that way, we start off with Beverly Hills Cop. So, of course, Axel Foley, Detroit Cop, goes to Beverly Hills, gets thrown out a few windows. All good times. What are you guys' thoughts?
Classic. I mean, obviously I wasn't of the age bracket to see it in 84. Did any of you guys sneak into the theaters and watch it?
No, did not sneak in, but might have purloined a rental copy.
I think my parents took us to the drive-in to see it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It wasn't that bad. It was a pretty soft R, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was a really, maybe some language. Is
Yeah.
that really it?
I think there's one. I think they go to a strip club or something.
Well, yeah, okay. There you go. So it would have been a little bit of frontal nudity.
Yeah.
And maybe the violence, like when Victor Maitland blows some guys away.
Oh, fucking violence is nothing out of the ordinary of any PG-13 movie today. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. There's no good R's anymore, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the whole banana thing. Maybe that was why it got its R. Banana in the tailpipe.
I just want to tell you guys, the story was working. It was working.
These guys are super cops.
Something I didn't learn until I think it was actually last year when I was with my cousins at 4th of July because we were watching it. Jonathan Banks, who played Mike on Breaking Bad, was one of Maitland's goons. Who's one of the ones that shot Axel's friend, whose name is blanking on me now. Yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was that connection. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I forget the name of the goon. He was like the main goon behind Victor Maitland, but yeah.
Oh, he was the one that shot his buddy in Detroit. So that when he... Okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
And I didn't recognize him until someone pointed it out, and I'm like, well, golly.
So because I had that sorted by top grossing features, that one got $235 million in 1980, or it got $235 million. I don't know if it was all in 1984 or not. I
would guess it was. I think it was a pretty high-grossing movie for that year, especially for 80s dollars.
Yeah, that was the movie that put Eddie Murphy into superstardom.
Yeah, he was already getting good reviews for Saturday Night Live, but yeah, that shot him up.
Yep.
So, all right. So from Beverly Hills Cop, the next one down, $229 million, is Ghostbusters.
No surprise.
Keymaster.
Where he's talking about her changing into a dog, floating above the bed.
3 feet above the covers.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Yeah, good times.
I wish this wasn't so PG, because then I would be able to quote the line about Walter Peck. But I can't.
Talk about some stream.
So Ghostbusters itself is rated PG, but yet we can't say that on our podcast? Wow. Okay.
We could, but I don't know what would happen. That's what I heard.
We're saying Southgate Media would blank that part out, maybe?
Well, the standards of PG have changed from 1984 to now.
Probably.
We've all heard the story that was written with John Belushi in mind, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As much as I love John Belushi, I can't imagine that movie being as huge as it was, him in that part instead of Bill Murray. What do you guys think?
Oh, of course. I could see it as like if he played him kind of maybe like a more straight-laced Bluto, I can kind of see it, but no, yeah. No, Bill Murray made that his own.
So if you guys had to pick a favorite Ghostbusters, would it be Beckman?
I always respected Winston, to be honest.
All right.
He was just there doing a job, and he adjusted really, really well. He was there to get a paycheck, and he stepped up.
What about you, Matt? Favorite Ghostbuster?
I really don't have a favorite Ghostbuster, but my favorite character was Rick Moranis' character. He just made the movie entirely. I think he stole every scene he was in.
Well, as Lewis or Vince Clortho?
Either one.
And I guess that whole scene in his apartment when he's got the party with all his clients. I guess that was like a total ad lib where he goes like on that big speech about tax write-offs and whatnot.
I love the scene where he's getting chased through Central Park by the dog, and he just runs into the window
the
and
on the green.
Yeah, and he just kind of slides down, and nobody cares.
And I love when he gets dropped off at the Ghostbusters headquarters. He's just so excited. He's so happy that the world is ending. The whole scene about during the rectification of the McKendrick suffragettes, the chosen form, Traveler chose a new form, that of a giant slore. Should knew what it was like to roast the belly of the slore that day, I can tell you.
I know. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody could have delivered that line as well as he had.
Oh, God, no.
No.
Well, I don't know if, any of the other original casting choices you guys heard about, like John Candy was Lewis, but he was a slightly different character, and Eddie Murphy was supposed to be Winston, but I don't know, like, at least with John Candy, I read that it sort of fell through, and then with Eddie Murphy, they just, I guess, didn't want to overshadow the other characters, because he totally would have.
Oh yeah, he definitely would have.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, you didn't weigh in. Who's your favorite Ghostbuster?
Yeah, it's Venkman. I mean, I was born in Wilmette, like Bill Murray's family, and so therefore I am genetically predisposed to love everything he does.
You are one of the vassals of the Murray clan?
Yes. How about you, Dave?
Oh, I'm definitely a Venkman fan. Just the speech that he gives with dogs and cats living together in mass hysteria, and the whole when they first do their first ghostbusting job, and then he's like giving them the speech about how much it's going to cost. This is classic.
How are we going to pay for all that? I don't know. They're just all swinging from the bottle.
And then that part where they're in the elevator, and he says, "Well, we've never really had an actual test. I blame myself." And he goes, "Well, so do I."
Like, the ad-libbing in that movie is just gold. I think Dan Aykroyd said that Bill Murray deserved a co-writer credit for just the amount of ad-libbing he did. And I guess the line, that would have worked if you hadn't stopped me, that was a Harold Ramis ad-lib, so respect there, because that's one of the great lines.
Oh, that was... Okay, so the part where he's talking about drilling a hole in his head, I think, right?
Yep, and the ad-lib was that would have worked if you hadn't stopped me, so...
Yeah, that's classic. It's surprising that nobody wrote that in before.
Now, like with that movie, it's so funny and so just classic. I actually try to ration it. Like I watch it on Halloween. That's like one of my Halloween listings. You guys ever do anything like that with any movie that you like?
What, having it to like watch it on a certain time frame, or?
Yeah, watch a certain time frame just so you can like make a sort of event out of it.
Valley Girl, definitely. It's no, I don't have one of those, Nick.
Every time you go to the mall, we're going to the mall. Hold on, I got to take 2 hours to watch Valley Girl.
Yeah. All right, kids, settle in, get in the car. Father will be out soon.
But no, I don't have anything like that. All right, well, since nobody's adding anything to the pre-planned movie watching, we're going to go to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is $180 million in 1984.
Don't care what anyone says. I like it just as much as the other ones. It's a different animal, to be sure, but yeah.
It's just as exciting. I actually like the beginning of this movie than the first one. I prefer the song and dance number, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Instead of the
slow burn of Raiders there?
Yeah, the slow burn of Raiders.
How is it that I forgot the dance scene? Thank you.
Like, that's how it opens. That's how the movie opens.
This is one of the first prequels that I remember being aware of as a young movie fan. Were there any other big prequels that had come out?
That's a good question.
In 84, you mean, or just in general?
Yeah, no, around that time. I mean, because I think it was going to be a sequel until the lead actress changed, right? And then they couldn't figure out, because Marion wasn't in this movie, so then it's a prequel. Did it really evolve that way, or is that just...
It's been a while since I like that documentary, like on the discs, but probably.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I am not sure. But Temple of Doom had what? The first time we had like the kid involved also to kind of help with getting, I guess, a younger audience maybe?
Yeah. Short round. Also Data, but that's going to be later.
Yeah, Data and Goonies. Jonathan K. Kwan.
Yep.
Wasn't it the first PG-13 movie too?
Oh, that's another one on our list a little later, actually.
Yeah, that and Gremlins they were responsible for the PG-13 because it just went a little too overboard.
I think that movie's pretty much R nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, serious? Oh my God, yeah. Frankly, I'm amazed Raiders didn't get slapped with something higher after the last scene there, but yeah.
Oh, actually, IMDb still has it listed as PG.
That's PG?
Yeah.
Yeah,
really?
Maybe PG for the time, but yeah, they eventually turned it PG-13.
Oh, because I know Spielberg, I guess, had to fight this whatever rating agency it is, MPAA,
Mhm.
keep it from being an R.
Well, that's good though. I think if it served that purpose at least, that's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely a darker beast than Raiders. But I mean, if you sort of prime your mind for that, I think it's just as much fun, except for maybe when Indy gets possessed.
Well, I mean, it's got child slavery in it, so.
Yeah, that's a bit out of the Indy wheelhouse there, but he frees them. And,
Yeah, he frees them.
and
It is darker.
brings the peace back to the village.
Oh, you just have the kids sing "It's a Hard Knocks Life" and they'll be all right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm going against opinion here again, but I loved Shorty. Even now, I think. I mean, it's different than the other Indies, but I think he added a nice dynamic, and he wasn't too annoying like in regards to other kids' sidekicks.
Yeah.
So he wasn't the cousin Oliver of Indiana Jones, is what you're saying?
Nah. No, that was Indiana Jones 4, but that's a different decade.
All right, so we move from that to Gremlins, 148 million. So 3 important rules. Who remembers the rules?
No feeding after midnight.
Don't get them wet.
No direct sunlight.
There you go. Very good. I know I kept you guys around for a reason. Very smart cookies.
Ooh, cookies.
So Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got to have a shout out to Phoebe Cates. We're not talking Fast Times at Ridgemont High Phoebe Cates, but still cute nonetheless.
I believe her full name is the Fabulous Phoebe Cates.
Too bad about her family getting killed in the
Oh God.
park.
The Santa story.
Yeah. Was that scene?
Now, would you guys classify that as a Christmas movie, Gremlins?
Sure, there's snow.
As much a Christmas story as the Die Hard is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the great Christmas movies there.
Right. So it still applies, yeah, sure. It's around Christmas time. You have a tree somewhere. You have snow. So, sure.
Story about a father dying in the chimney dressed as Santa, yeah. Right.
Who had a Mogwai?
The doll, like a doll?
Yeah.
Like a Gizmo doll? I wanted one so bad growing up, but never got one.
I had one.
I did not.
We had a cat named Gizmo.
Did he look like Gizmo? Did he have the same coloring?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Did you feed him after midnight?
No, Gizmo hated me. He's my dad's response.
Probably because you got him wet. The cats don't like that.
I had one of those, like the Gremlin toys. You would, when you drop it in the water and it grow. I always got
nice.
I always got mad. I'm like, it's not multiplying.
Now, was it like one of those Shrinky Dink sponges, or what was it? Like?
No, it's one of those rubbery plastic things.
Oh, okay. Yep, I know what you're talking about. I didn't know they had those. That's cool. Like, I guess the movie was supposed to be a lot darker. It was supposed to be, I think, a straight-up horror movie. And then Joe Dante came on board and did his Joe Dante-esque, give it that little bit of dark humor. Like, I guess more people were supposed to just straight-up die. The Gremlins were supposed to, like, just straight-up kill people. I think Billy's mom was supposed to die. And then they vetoed that.
So it was going to be more of the Walking Dead, but with little tiny creatures.
Well, yeah, what's a good example? They have, I don't know, I guess you could say, if you want to go into the bad 80s movie route, like Troll or
Critters.
Critters, yep. Yeah, it was supposed to be kind of like that. It was supposed to sort of ride the wave of that, but then they decided to make it a distinctly more dark-humored entity.
Yeah, there's no way that movie would have gotten as popular as it did if it would have went that dark.
Oh, God, no. It would have been just another, like, forgotten schlock thing.
Right.
And, of course, like a great theme, the Gremlins theme, everyone should know.
I can't remember.
There you go. Took a sec. And, so did you guys, what were you, a Gizmo or Stripe fan?
Definitely Gizmo.
Gizmo all the way.
Yeah.
Gizmo was cute. Yeah.
He
Stripe
gets
got
his
things done, though.
Gets his little car and his.
Honestly, I was a Phoebe Cates fan.
Oh, well, yes, yeah.
Well, that wasn't one of the choices, Tim.
I made it.
I made it a choice.
We'll accept that.
I just like that they all love Snow White.
They're watching Snow White, and they love it.
All right, so we're moving to Karate Kid. So sweep the leg, Johnny.
Put him in a body bag.
That movie still ticks me off. To this day, I still... Just punch him! Just punch him, for God's sake.
Oh, the crane kick, yeah.
Oh, you mean rather than the crane kick, are you talking he should have just got punched in the face and be done with it?
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah. One of the great 80s villains, though, William Zabka as Johnny.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Everybody hated that guy.
Oh, well, he was just so good at playing like total D-bags.
Yep.
Most definitely.
Otherwise, I really enjoyed the rest of the movie, but that ending, I just can't stand that stupid crane kick.
Yep. So you're forgetting the whole, intergenerational friendship, learning to overcome adversity, standing up for yourself. No, you just got to think of the crane kick.
Yeah, it just ruins the entire movie. But Pat Morita, Morita, he's excellent in that movie. It's just that one scene when he's retelling his World War II story.
How many times have we all said wax on, wax off?
Yeah.
Oh, those freaking lines, even now. I mean, no one will take you seriously, but everyone knows what you're talking about when you say it.
Has anybody tried to catch a fly with chopsticks? No? Okay.
I will freely admit to trying, emphasis trying, once.
Can't say I've ever been successful, but the thought had crossed my mind maybe once.
At least the second one had a better finishing move.
Oh, yeah. Which one was, what's the second, what was that one called?
They had the little drum thing and everybody he just beats the crap out of the guy.
Actually, wait, in Karate Kid 2, didn't he try to do the crane kick, but then he got his butt kicked?
Yeah, he got his butt kicked.
Yeah.
Because it's a stupid move.
I think he did actually get his face punched in the second
one.
Sorry, Ralph Macchio. We're sorry we're bashing you, sir.
So one of the great montage movies, because instead of showing the tournament, all they did was show him, do 1 or 2 quick hits to "You're the best around."
Well, that's just general sports movies.
Yes.
Anytime you have a sports movie, you have to have a montage scene. I mean, how many montage scenes are in Rocky movies?
Or Scarface, even.
Yeah, Scarface.
I was just curious about Elizabeth Shue. Wasn't she in Adventures in Babysitting?
Yep.
Okay, that was 87. Okay, sorry. So so then Karate Kid would have predated that.
Ralph Macchio was in his 20s, I think, during the filming of that movie. She was legitimately a teenager.
All right, so according to IMDb, he was born November 4th, 1961.
Okay, so 84, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, he was 23.
How about that? Looked very young for 23.
Yeah, he was able to get by on that for a while.
Till last year.
Damn you, Macchio.
All right, so we go from Karate Kid to Police Academy.
The first and second one are okay, and then they got up to Police Academy 12.
All right, we're talking 1984, so let's assume all those other stuff didn't happen.
Gladly, yeah.
So who's the guy that does the sound effects?
Michael Winslow as Jones.
Oh man, he was awesome.
I mean, that's what most people remember about those movies when you get down to brass tacks.
Larvell Jones, Michael Winslow.
I mean, yeah, Steve Guttenberg was the main character for the first 2.
Yep.
And then they started focusing on the more side characters, which was cool.
But I don't know, man. Tackleberry. Tackleberry does it for me, man. He was just awesome.
Well, yeah, he was this big dude. Like guns.
Tackleberry and Hightower were my 2 favorites.
Oh, Bubba Smith. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, no love for Zed? He became a cop at the end of Police Academy 2.
You guys know way too much about Police Academy.
No Bobcat Goldthwait fans in the audience, come on.
Oh, yeah. Bobcat.
Well, Bobcat wasn't in the first one.
No, he came in the second one. But,
see, you're moving forward in the 80s, sir.
Yeah, sorry. Let me get back to the... Well, okay, to be fair, Police Academy 1 was actually more of a straight-up comedy, I guess you could say.
Didn't they release a Police Academy every year after that. And there are like 8 of them or something.
Something like that. And the last one I know is called Mission to Moscow. That's all I know.
Police Academy 2015. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be coming out soon.
Don't tempt it, Dave. But yeah, I mean, what is it? Yeah, Steve Guttenberg, Kim Cattrall.
Yeah, let me look at the cast list here. We got Steve Guttenberg, Kim Cattrall, G.W. Bailey as Lieutenant Harris, Bubba Smith, Donovan Scott as Leslie.
Callahan. Was Callahan in the first one, or the tall woman?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Leslie Easterbrook, Sergeant Callahan. Yep.
She was in the first one?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I remember there was that scene where she was doing the showing everybody the various fighting moves, and then she had someone pinned down on the mat, and then like everybody volunteered to be next.
Yep. And I mean, for those of you who haven't seen it, what was it? There was a police strike. Was that it, or was they were just a low recruitment, so they just decided to lower their standards and let any crazy off the street in?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's something along those lines.
So the ragtag bunch of misfits became cops. It's been so long since I've seen any of those movies.
All right, so we moved from Police Academy to Footloose. So it's our time to dance now. You know, Kevin Bacon giving his speech to the whole the board around, to get permission for the school, dance. I thought it was a great scene. So I don't know. What do you guys think of the movie?
Oh, it's classic.
I mean, John Lithgow, I think played his part really well. He started out as like this straight up sort of, character, but then you listen to his reasons, and he actually kind of comes across as a 3-dimensional character. I like that. I don't know. What did you guys think about, for an entire town that never knew how to dance, especially the teenagers, they suddenly learned real quick in that last scene?
Well, they were doing it in secret, though, right? I mean, because you had that scene where they were at the local burger joint, and somebody's playing the music, and of course everybody starts dancing around, and they had some good moves.
Another example of the worst body double.
When he's in the barn there?
Yeah.
So that tells me Kevin Bacon was never that agile.
Probably not.
Great theme song, though.
Kenny Loggins.
The master of the 80s soundtrack.
Totally, man. Well, like, I was at my cousin's wedding this weekend, and she's only in her 20s, and that song came on, and everyone just stopped and just totally went to town, including me, and I can't dance for anything. So
that song definitely does it, and it's continues to be so iconic. Even way after 1984, obviously.
It's definitely rooted in the 80s, but yeah, people still love that song. Did you guys have any dances around that time where they played that?
I'm trying to remember. I'm almost sure it was played at the prom, and my prom would have been 1989. So I'm almost sure that would have been there.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think even my prom was like 10 years later, and they still played that. So yeah, testament to the staying power.
Yep. Footloose to now Star Trek III: The Search for Spock.
Wrath of Khan was better.
Well, of course, it had Ricardo Montalban in it, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course he makes everything better, but hey, Search for Spock had Christopher Lloyd. Gotta give him that. As Krug. Or Kruge, depending on how you pronounce it.
There was a young comedian special on about this time, and there was a guy that, his name was Maurice LaMarche, I think. He's done a lot of voice acting since.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep.
Killer impression of Christopher Lloyd as Jim Ignatowski talking to Admiral Kirk.
God, now I have to look that up after we're done.
Oh, it's funny. It's like, Admiral Kirk, you don't want to give me the Genesis device.
Jim Ignatowski. Actually, Taxi, was that on in 84? That's a good question.
I think so.
You guys, I think, are bigger Star Trek fans than I am. Where does this movie fit in with, the original cast movies that were made?
They had 3 more after Search for Spock with the original cast.
It's at the bottom.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I've heard, right?
Yeah, it's the odd number Trek curse, so yeah.
They just had to solve a problem that they put in 2, so they had to get Spock back, and it just didn't work.
Well, Leonard Nimoy changed his mind because he did legitimately want Spock dead, and then he decided he was actually having a lot of fun, so they put that scene at the end of 2 where he mind melds with McCoy as a way out, and that's what they followed up on with 3.
There's some cool scenes in 3. I like when they're escaping the shuttle base or the star base.
Lock the dude in the closet. Yep.
Yeah. That's a fun scene.
Tight.
Just to follow up on that question, Taxi ended in 1983, so that would have been the year before.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah.
John Larroquette's one of the Klingons in that movie.
I'm ashamed to admit that I know the character's name.
Yeah.
Lay it out there.
Maltz.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he's the one who says, it's like, I failed. I do not deserve to live. And Kirk goes, I'll kill you later.
Yep.
And then later on he goes, but you promised you would kill me. I lied. And actually, Search for Spock, we got to give credit for because it did blow up the original Enterprise.
Yeah. So they gave away in the previews.
Seriously, I know. What the hell?
Yeah.
This big defining moment.
Well, I mean, every Star Trek movie, or the original series, I mean, they always seem to have like this very big love montage affair of the outside of the ship, right? You always had that slow-mo view of the majestic Enterprise. You know, it's like, after the first one, we're like, yeah, we've seen it. Let's get started.
But it was the original Enterprise.
Yeah, there wasn't that big scene. There's a scene at the beginning where it's coming back to the Star Dock, and it's all battered up, and everybody's kind of like, what happened?
Good God, we got hit by foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So next up, actually, I don't even know if we're going to have a lot to talk about on that one, but Romancing the Stone.
That was like Indiana Jones without being Indiana Jones.
Exactly. So, I mean, what was that? That was Kathleen Turner as a writer, I think it was, and she was writing this character or something like that, and then this guy that she met was like him or something like that. I mean, that's really all I remember from that one.
Yeah, she followed him around. Well, it was Michael Douglas, right? He was an adventurer. It's been so long since I've seen that movie, and I'm probably killing my 80s cred saying that, but I don't remember much of it.
Other than what I'm going to read on IMDb, that's all I really got. So, has anybody got more info that they want to discuss on Romancing the Stone, or do we go right to the next one?
Haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it being pretty good, and I think it was just recently re-released on DVD because I've seen it in stores quite a bit, ironically enough. So I don't know.
Oh, really? Oh, it's on Blu-ray, really? I remember seeing it on Netflix, and I've been meaning to go sit back and watch it. It's one of those things that you just think about and you just never do.
All right, well, I think I'm remembering this right, but maybe the final scene, alligator that they had to get this diamond out of, and then he ended up making boots of the alligator.
Yep.
Yes.
So I can't believe I just pulled that one out of my hat, but yeah.
And Danny DeVito was in it.
Yeah.
Playing Danny DeVito, essentially.
Well, I can get to the character name in a second here. Ralph.
Yes.
Very simply, Ralph. So,
but it was Danny DeVito, let's be perfectly frank here.
Yeah, and Michael Douglas was Jack T. Colton. Kathleen Turner was Joan Wilder.
Yeah, it was sort of kind of the same throwback as Indiana Jones was, just sort of a classic sort of serial adventure type thing in, just some far-off location. And whatever, simmering romance was there.
Right.
Not as good a sequel, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was a sequel, but yeah, I don't remember much about it. Like, even the name right at this point.
Jewel of the Nile.
Oh, there you go. Way to go. So you're a big Jewel of the Nile fan, are you?
Uncomfortable silence fills the air.
Well, he shushed me. All right, so then we go from Romancing the Stone to Splash.
Why was her hair always in the way?
The Mermaids of Hollywood. I don't know.
So, Eugene Levy, did you guys like him in that one?
It was only years later that I actually remember that he was in that movie, yeah.
Yeah, to be honest with you, yeah. I mean, John Candy, yes.
Yeah.
Throwing the change down on the ground to look up girls' skirts, playing racquetball one-handed with a beard, all that stuff was awesome.
And then we also had Mr. Tom Hanks. Let's see, what did he do before that one?
Bosom Buddies? Because that was Tom Hanks' comedy period before he became, Tom Hanks dramatic actor.
Bachelor Party also come out in '84. I mean, those were probably.
Ooh, Bachelor Party, yes.
Bachelor Party did come out in 1984. You're right.
I mean, that's the first I remember of him besides Booze and Buddies.
Yeah, actually, that was his first movie credit, was Splash and then Bachelor Party.
And I believe Bachelor Party was actually up against Ghostbusters. Sorry, Bachelor Party.
1987, Dragnet. All right, I'll get off Tom Hanks right now. Okay.
We'll get there.
So Splash, or I just remember the scene where she's trying to pronounce her name and then she makes all the TV crashes.
Yeah. Dolphin speak or whatever. Yeah.
And then they ended up naming her from a street sign.
Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
Now, what was it that the scientist wanted to study her? Is that what the sort of tacked on conflict was?
Well, I think the Eugene Levy character had always believed in the mythical mermaid. And so once he finally had proof, or he wanted to prove, but he, every time he didn't get the opportunity because her legs would suddenly dry and then they would become legs versus fins.
Yeah, water would turn her legs to fins.
Right.
And I'm just remembering now, Tom Hanks's character was rescued by her as a boy, and he never forgot her, and that's how they sort of reconnected.
Right. This is the part where Matt chimes in and says we remember too much about Splash.
Yeah.
No, I'll only reserve that for the bad movies.
Well, I mean, my cousins, I had a lot of female cousins, and they loved that movie. They loved that movie and Footloose, and that's how I know about either of them. Because whenever I would visit, they would have one of those on.
But I think this was Ron Howard's first hit, and the rest is history.
And I'm looking at IMDb. I guess that's where the song "She Works Hard for the Money." I guess that was on the movie soundtrack. So I'm wondering if that's when it came out. Donna Summer.
No, I know the song. I was just trying to remember if that's the first movie I remember it from.
I don't remember.
In fact, I don't even remember where that song was in that movie.
I barely remember the movie. I just remember the scene in the restaurant where they splash the water on her.
Oh, yep.
She turns into a mermaid.
And he has to hold the menu on her. I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really know way too much about Splash.
Saying we spent too much time on that? Alright. So we'll move on to Revenge of the Nerds. I jumped a few in between, but I wanted to jump to Revenge of the Nerds.
Robster Craws.
Yeah. Who here can do the laugh? Because I can't.
I cannot.
Can't even remember it.
Alright, Tim, you're the nerd laugh. Let's go.
There you go. Good lad.
Oh, so of all the, who's your favorite nerd? Let's put it that way.
Ogre.
Ogre?
Booger.
Okay.
Oh, dude. My favorite nerd. They're all so charming.
None of them are very nerd-like, if you think about it.
Well, they were Hollywood nerds. They
Yeah,
They weren't real nerds. They were what everyone thought nerds were.
Yeah.
I like Ashi. He had one of the best lines in the movie, but of course we can't repeat it on the podcast.
But why is it that we're running into that so much on 1984 movies?
You remember what I'm talking about when he's doing the tricycle race and they ask him how he's doing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep. Well, they were very free with language in 80s movies. That's another thing about PG-13. They let it right away with one F word.
Now, Revenge of the Nerds, they always relied on doing some sort of musical act in order to get the way they wanted. To win over the crowds.
The first one, didn't they do that sort of Devo thing?
Yes, they did. Along with the Elvis thing and a rap thing. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, interesting. I'm looking at the cast list here, and I guess John Goodman was in it as the coach.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't remember that. And everyone's favorite 80s preppy, Ted McGinley as Stan.
Alpha Betas.
Yep.
Remember the name of the sorority? It was one. I laughed out loud so hard when they announced that sorority name, the Omega Moos.
I think, people have already made this joke, but it's true. The nerds got away with a lot of stuff that would probably get them arrested now. Like all the pranks and whatnot.
So you're saying panty raids and like a big dubage would definitely be a arresting offense?
That and, having sex with the girl with the helmet on.
Oh, yeah. There's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, that's a little off. But it's the 80s, and apparently that was okay.
But yeah, Robert Carradine would have been my favorite nerd. Lewis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He just had the... Not fully aware of the... what his nerdiness, was like, for everyone else. He just kind of accepted what he was and what everyone else was around him.
He's the everyman nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I like him.
Always a Timothy Busfield fan myself, because Poindexter, he lived up to his name, damn it. Talk about no illusions of what he was Poindexter.
Yep. Alright, so Revenge of the Nerds to Bachelor Party.
Little young for that one.
Other than, of course, being another Tom Hanks movie, but, I just remember there's something to do with a donkey in there somewhere.
Oh, excuse me, Dave. It's an Adrian Zmed movie.
Yes, the greatness that is Adrian Zmed.
Oh, so it wasn't a Tom Hanks movie. I gotcha.
Adrian Zmed as every 80s sidekick ever. Whether it was Bachelor Party or whatever character he played on TJ Hooker, or the host of, what was that show, Dance Fever?
So you mean to tell me he wasn't the lead in Grease 2?
No. I can't remember who was the lead in Grease 2, except Michelle Pfeiffer was in it. Right,
no, I was joking. Was there anybody else in Grease 2 is what I was getting at.
The dude from the Warriors. Yeah, Bachelor Party. Well, that was like another one of those 80s sex comedy romps.
Yeah.
It was like Porky's, being a 13-year-old, as soon as anybody had an older brother or somehow could get a copy of Bachelor Party to watch on VHS, you were gold.
So none of you guys had the stones sneak into the theater and watch it?
Actually, the town I grew up in, the local theater, never showed R-rated movies until the only one they ever showed was the Blues Brothers, because it was partially filmed in that town.
Well, that's
never even had a chance to sneak in.
Oh, so you didn't have the cool theater and the boring theater? No, you just had the one theater?
Yep, just one.
Yeah, I don't think I had even attempted to con my mom into getting into that one.
My mom was pretty on the ball when it came to taking us to movies.
So this is interesting, because after Bachelor Party, then we go to Terminator. I'm just thinking, shouldn't that be the other way around?
I really don't think there's any good way to connect Bachelor Party to Terminator, but yeah.
No, I mean, if you look at their gross, they both got $38.4 million. So it just seems like Terminator would have done better back then.
I think it would have been a more interesting movie had they crossed it over with Bachelor Party.
This is a good point. So Terminator, I'll be back.
Very first time, yep.
Yep. And of course now we're getting a reboot of that, or not necessarily a reboot, but
soft reboot, yeah.
Yeah.
Alternate timeline. Genesis. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but originally the Terminator, they were thinking about casting O.J. Simpson as the Terminator. And James Cameron has gone on record saying, and he's like, and I quote this, it's like, I couldn't believe that such a nice guy could play a killer like that.
Oh, wow. No, I did not know that O.J. was considered for that.
And then Lance Henriksen was actually going to be the Terminator, which I think would be pretty cool, but would have fit, like with the exoskeleton appearance, but definitely Arnold.
Yeah, I'm glad they did what they did.
I don't know about the current version, though. I mean, it just feels like Schwarzenegger should be, done now.
We need to stop everything and make King Conan and then be done.
Yeah, that'd be a good note to go off on, actually. Just finish up Conan. As a child of the 80s and 90s, regardless of what it is, I'm always glad to see Arnold. So do what you got to do, man. That's all I'm saying. It's all got to work.
As long as somebody's still paying you, I guess.
Although, with Terminator 1, it's definitely more of a sort of a horror vibe than what we associate with Terminator now.
Agreeing with you, I think it's a good point. It definitely was more of a lower budget horror movie type vibe, and it was less of an event movie that the second one was.
Mm-hmm. Well, because they didn't really explain what the Terminator was until Reese talked to Sarah, right?
Yeah, he filled her in on what was going on, explained about her son and everything.
Yeah, so as far as like any viewer knew, who was coming into it kind of blind, Arnold was just this like remorseless serial killer going through the phone book. Because it sort of played out like a slasher film almost, with the two cops and Arnold.
Now, what did somebody counted like the number of words he actually spoke in that movie?
Oh, really? How few were they?
It was a ridiculously small number between that and Conan.
Well, I think with Conan, the biggest number of words he did was that prayer to Krob.
Yeah.
Probably someone can bother to verify this for me, but I think the line was originally, "I'll come back." And then he said, "I'll be back," and history was made.
Oh, so you're saying Arnold ad-libbed that?
Ad-libbed or forgot. Either way it works. Well, the whole reason I guess Terminator exists is because of a nightmare James Cameron had of a metallic skeleton rising out of the fire. And that sort of accounts for the last scene when they think they've got him and all of a sudden, no skin.
So you're saying the whole story of Terminator came from just that dream?
Or at least the start of it came from a fever dream.
Wow.
I know. Kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's actually stolen from a Harlan Ellison story.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, that was Harlan Ellison is a very litigious fellow.
On the next movie, if I were to say Special K, Ozone, and Turbo, would you guys know who I'm talking about?
Why? Why?
You mean, why am I talking about that movie?
Yes.
Breaking.
No, breaking. No G at the end.
Yeah, no G.
Okay, sorry.
You're not hip, Dave.
Hey, I'm from the streets.
You didn't have Ice-T as your DJ.
Exactly. So you guys know the movie I'm talking about then, obviously.
Not that I've ever seen it from beginning to end, but yes.
I'm just wondering if one of you has it as kind of a guilty pleasure. That way the rest of us can pick on you, that kind of thing. No? So it's just me? All right, moving on.
Well, the only thing I know about Breaking is that it gave us the greatest sequel subtitle in the world, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, any time a sequel came out after that movie, we would always attach the subtitle Electric Boogaloo.
Fast forward to Dune.
Oh, God. Can't fast forward through Dune, man. Dune, there's a lot to Dune.
You got to talk about Sting in his G-string, man.
I will kill him.
What was the actor the big guy that was floating around?
Oh, well, I know the character was the Baron Harkonnen.
Right.
I don't know. I don't want to turn this into nerdy book comparison drive, but it's a very different character in the movie than the book.
Kenneth McMillan. That was the actor's name.
Oh, yes.
Dune, those big sand worm things, and then of course they had that little play on that with Beetlejuice, and yeah.
Oh, yep. It was is that where they got the sandworms for Beetlejuice was Dune?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Makes sense, actually. But yeah, that was David Lynch's, I think, first mainstream film.
So it's the only mainstream film.
Well, mainstreamy-ish. Okay, not Eraserhead, okay?
Yeah, he's got a lot of director credits. But in the essence of keeping moving, Nightmare on Elm Street, we had Freddy Krueger.
Oh yeah, the first one, yep.
Yep.
Johnny Depp's first, either first or one of his earliest roles.
Yeah, definitely Don't Fall Asleep.
Did you guys take that to heart when you first saw it?
The scariest part for me, and believe it or not, I actually watched this movie with my mother. And I look over at my mom, and she's actually laughing about it. And that scared me more than the actual movie itself.
What was she laughing at? The blood geyser?
I don't know. It's probably just, because it was over the top of the horror or something like that. She's probably just found humor in the... I don't know. I really couldn't tell you.
I mean, all I remember about Nightmare on Elm Street 1 from watching it is that Freddy was actually a much more sinister character. Well, he was always bad, but he was a much more sinister character. He didn't really joke around as much in the first one.
Right.
He tortured you and he killed you. I don't remember which one he started to really crack the jokes, but...
Yeah, that was definitely a very dark one compared to the other ones where he was more witty.
Yeah, in the later ones he would kind of screw with you before he killed you. This one he scared you and then you had a horrifying death.
Right.
Yep. Or in Johnny Depp's case, a giant geyser of blood.
Yep.
All right, so 16 Candles was also 1984.
She should have ended up with Ducky. That's all I'm saying.
So, yeah, Molly Ringwald, Anthony Michael Hall. Definitely a good one.
John Cryer.
No,
No, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm totally wrong. I'm sorry, guys. That was Pretty in Pink. I am sorry.
Yeah, you were crossing that. You're crossing the stream, sir.
Come on, man.
Well, I'm glad you said it because I wasn't going to.
The dong. Can't forget the donger.
Oh,
Long
Duck Dong.
Yeah.
Getty Watanabe.
They're essentially the same movie anyway.
They really are.
John Hughes seemed to recycle his movies constantly.
I don't know. Weird Science wasn't like any of the other ones.
Well, yeah. But that didn't have Molly Ringwald in it.
That's a good point. All right. So, moving fast forward, Firestarter. Drew Barrymore.
George C. Scott. Wasn't he the general in that one? Or the bad guy?
I think... Can't remember.
George C. Scott, yes. And Martin Sheen.
Oh.
Yep.
And we have David Keith and Drew Barrymore.
That was like in her creepy child phase.
Oh, yeah. And a horror movie that just freaked me out as a kid, Children of the Corn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just there's that line where let me get the character's name.
Malachi?
No, the other guy.
Oh, the other guy.
He's talking about Malachi, Isaac, and he's like standing there and he says, "He wants you too," and it just freaked me out, man. So yeah, he's talking to Malachi at the time, and I guess Isaac was sacrificed. And then all of a sudden he came back, being like, typical Children of the Corn type deal. And he's talking to Malachi and he's like, "He wants you too." And I was like, oh, that freaks me out. Definitely a very cool movie though. But for me, it was one that maybe freaked me out. The only one that freaked me out more in that time period would have been Carrie.
Oh, Carrie came out in 84?
Well, I don't know I don't think Carrie came out at 84, but that was just another one that in my youth.
Oh, yeah.
Freaked me out.
So you and Stephen King did not have a good relationship, is what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm fine with Christine and Cujo and things like that. It was just some of this stuff, really kind of messed me up. I don't know why. And that particular area of that Children of the Corn is what did it for me. But, it's a horror movie, so you kind of go, that's what you sign up for when you go in to see something like that, right? So...
Now, what was it exactly that creeped out of? Obviously, like the similar-looking demonic children.
Well, that could have been it. Obviously, I didn't want anybody at the time to tie me up to a big cornfield, and suddenly there would have been this big, goofy-looking hump thing that came and grabbed me. Yeah, so that was just bad. I didn't want that to happen to myself. So.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, so I don't know why that one freaked me out, but yeah, maybe it was just, kids doing evil things to adults. Who knows? Maybe I had too much respect for authority.
Surprising number of sequels.
Yeah.
All right, so let us wrap up 84 movies. Tim, what do you got to say?
This is Spinal Tap. I don't know where it is on the money-making list, but probably my favorite movie of the year.
You would pick a one that's centered around music. But as long as we can go up to 11, I think we're okay. But yeah, I'm trying to find it on the list. It did not make it in the top 50. That's incredible.
No, I think it's definitely a cult film. I don't think it would have made a huge budget, but then it probably didn't have a huge budget to make back. So
No. That was another one where, if you believe the stories, it was almost all ad-libbed.
Mhm.
The barest framework of a plot, and just let the guys go. I actually have the 4.5-hour version on VHS with all the extra footage that they had to sift through to get the 80 minutes or whatever they ended up with.
4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How much more black can you go?
So many.
None more black.
Yeah. You can see yourself in both sides. There's so many lines in that movie that it's for a music fan, especially for a heavy metal fan of a certain age. I mean, it was just perfect. All the bands you liked were mocked in that one movie.
And I guess bands were they would tell stories later that a lot of that stuff happened to them.
Yeah, the Stonehenge stuff was inspired by Black Sabbath, and the burning through 15 drummers was inspired by Judas Priest, and the look of the bass player was inspired by the band Saxon. There's all kinds of stories like that, and they went through that phase where they were going to come out in elaborate makeup, which was a Kiss and the Alice Cooper nod. And even some Beatles stuff was in there with the one guy's girlfriend kind of breaking the band apart.
Oh, yep, obviously, yeah. And I think I read somewhere that Ozzy Osbourne didn't or hated it for a while because he thought it was making fun of him personally, it was making fun of Sabbath.
I wouldn't doubt that for a second. The great soundtrack. I mean, those actors all performed their own parts, and
yeah, didn't Harry Shearer, Christopher Guest, and Michael McKean, didn't they go on tour as Spinal Tap?
Yeah, a couple times over the years. Yeah, several times. It's just everything about that to me was just cool and funny. It was really impressive when I learned that those guys actually, not that any of the playing is virtuoso or anything, but just knowing that those guys actually did all that and wrote all the songs too. That was pretty impressive.
I think something that I always remember is when he I think it was Nigel Tufnell. He plays this beautiful piano piece, and Rob Reiner's director asks him, "Oh, that's wonderful. What is that?" "Oh, it's called Lick My Love Pump."
Yeah. And a lot of people were kind of confused by that movie, at least kids, teenagers. I remember I had a buddy who just was adamant that Spinal Tap was a real band. And he even went so far as to claim that he saw the album Shark Sandwich in the record store. No, you didn't. It's 100%.
Maybe he saw the Black Album.
That's my pick for 84. I don't know. What about you guys?
Let's go, Matt.
Well, we didn't mention Ice Pirates. I don't know why. Nobody remember Ice Pirates?
Oh, I totally remember Ice Pirates.
Yeah.
Why'd you make them black? It could be perfect. I don't know. That's just a weird movie.
Oh, but yeah, you're right. That's definitely one of classic. But it didn't make the top 50 for grossing movies in '84.
I doubt it. It probably bombed completely, but it's got space herpes in there. Stupid nonsense.
Oh, I forgot that. All right, Nick, what do you got for 84?
Okay, I'll go a little lighter than Ice Pirates. I'm going to go NeverEnding Story. We talked about it a little bit, but we didn't go too deep into it.
Wow. Why did that not even make the list either? Boy, IMDb, I cannot trust you.
Well, it's one of those movies that didn't do well at all at the time, but everyone remembers it.
Yeah, most definitely. What was it about NeverEnding Story that appealed to you?
Well, I think just as a kid in general, just the imagery, because I mean, movie came out in '84. I probably didn't see it till, I don't know, '87. But yeah, I mean, just looking at it, your eyes are just sort of glued to the screen. You see the things like the rock biter and all the different little creatures, and And Falcor, who is not a dog, he's a luck dragon.
I did say dog earlier, didn't I? Sorry.
He's a luck dragon. He's a very wise creature. Just the look of it was just pretty intense for a kid who, you know, up to that point been watching cheapo cartoons. All the different, you know, crazy characters. And being able to bring stuff out of a book, that was really cool for me.
You cry when they killed the horse too.
Yeah. Let's not talk about architects. Yeah, I had to leave the room. But he came back. He came back. And I was happy. Oh, I'm looking at IMDb. I guess I didn't remember this. I guess Gerald McRaney was Bastion's father in that movie. Did not know that. At least American theme song was sung by Lamal of Kajagoogoo.
Yep.
I'm really ashamed that I know that, but I'm also a child of the 80s. So.
Hey, we didn't even talk about Purple Rain.
Well, everyone's bringing up movies that we didn't bring up before, so I found actually two that really should have been talked about: Johnny Dangerously.
Oh yeah.
And The Last Starfighter. So, Last Starfighter definitely would be my choice. For the ones that we didn't mention before. Just love the idea of, the kid living in the trailer park, and then suddenly everybody's rallying around just because he's about to beat a video game. It's just so cheesy, but then he gets to go up to space, so you can't go wrong there.
That's a great movie. Good pick.
Yeah,
and we all wanted that to happen to us. We all wanted to believe that, someday beating a video game, all of a sudden, aliens would come down and say that we were the savior of everything.
Didn't they make that movie? That's coming out in a couple weeks. Pixels movie or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you really want to get like super, into it, it's really the hero's journey, but in a very 80s video gamey way.
Yeah.
Johnny Dangerously is another solid pick, Dave. That's a good one. There's a lot of lines that are great that we can't quote in this podcast.
No, we can't.
But Dave, we missed the most important movie of 1984.
Valley Girl was released in 83. Please don't get stuck on that.
Wait.
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
How did I miss that?
I reminded you last week, dude.
Oh my gosh.
We talked to Billy Vera and everything, man. How did you forget?
Oh my. Oh yeah. Oscillation Overthruster.
No matter where you go, there you are.
The line that I constantly use. Yeah, I could not have closed 1984 without bringing that up. Thank you. Yeah, God, Buckaroo. That's definitely one of my all-time favorites. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Dave. Please finish.
No, I just I'm surprised at myself. I'm a little mad at myself, actually. That should have been the lead-in for the show.
Well, honestly, I think that we could have covered pretty much a show just quoting that movie.
Yeah.
And I'll come clean. I didn't see that movie until college. I had a roommate who was obsessed with that movie, and would seem like he seemed to watch it like every other weekend when he found a copy. And at first, I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. I thought it was the dumbest thing, and then I just kept watching it, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually making sense to me. And it's awesome.
It is so completely awesome.
Another great John Lithgow performance.
Lizardo, yeah.
Yep. Or Lord John Thorfinn. Laugh away you can, the monkey boy.
That's you're a voice guy or a imitation guy. Yeah, I was just trying to remember all the names. John Big Booty.
John Yaya.
John Smallberries.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you remember the Hong Kong Cavaliers?
Oh, Pecos, Reno, Perfect Tommy. That's all I got. Rawhide.
New Jersey.
Oh, forgot New Jersey. Okay.
Yep, I think that we got the main ones, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, very classic movie, and thank you for bringing that up, Matt.
Sure. That's what I do.
I do have one question for you all, though, on that note, though. Why is a watermelon there?
I can't remember the line.
I'll tell you later.
All right. So with that, you guys have a wonderful evening.
You too, guys.
All right. Till next time.
Okay.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80's Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80's Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80's Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.